welcome again to another outstanding, iconic Gridiron Icon podcast. And we're so excited to have this special guest. But before I introduce our special guest, ladies and gentlemen, let's recognize my partner. He says in crime, but he's a sweet deal. Mr. Stacy Bauman, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're at home, give him the round of applause because he deserves it.
Yeah, and I would just want to state at this point in the show, I am easily the slowest guy in this show right now.
Oh, no.
Well, we definitely got some speed. Our guest this week comes to us from Los Angeles, California, where he was a multi-sport athlete at Dorsey High School. Now, that I did not know. He had plenty of speed to burn. After high school, he attended Arizona State University, where I grew to know him a little more personally because he played with a young man that we both know. Grew up in my household. He played wide receiver and went on to be drafted in the first round by the Los Angeles Rams as the 20th pick in the 1988 NFL draft. He played professionally for 6 years. His most productive season was his rookie year, introducing himself in a fine fashion. He caught 28 passes for 590 yards and 5 touchdowns. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our special iconic guest, Mr. Aaron Cox. Ladies and gentlemen, in the house.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Glad to be here, man. It's a great honor to be here with both of you guys.
Well, you know what? I'm excited. We've had some wide receivers on this show, and you can see Stacy. He's just tickled to death to be in the room with speed. I'm just glad to be close to speed. You know, I just had a long stride, but man, we're so glad to have you, Aaron. How are you doing, first of all?
I'm great, man. I cannot complain at all. I'm living a dream, man.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Take us back to the beginning. You're a young man. Sports somehow got introduced to you. How did that happen?
Well, it started, one of my older brothers played baseball, and he was like really good at baseball. So, of course, he wanted me to try baseball. But if you're scared of the ball, you really can't play baseball right away. So, yeah, scared of the ball. So what he would do, he would put me up against our fence in the front yard and just drill balls at me and just would yell at me, catch the ball, stop running from the ball. So I would cry and run in the house and call mama. He's hitting me with the ball. You know, she just say, go back out there and just keep trying it. So eventually I fell in love with it. So baseball was actually my first love. And I played catcher and shortstop because I could catch the ball really well because he was hitting me with it so many times. I decided, you know what, I'm tired of that. I'm going to catch it. So the hand-eye coordination got really outstanding. And of course, if you can catch at a young age, they put you at catcher or shortstop because that's where all the balls come. And I played baseball for probably till I was maybe from 7 till probably 10 or 11. And that's when I discovered football.
Wow.
Actually playing football. But even before that, while I was playing baseball, I would still go to USC to watch football practice.
Okay.
So I was in love with baseball and then falling in love with football, but I wasn't playing football yet. I was just going to watch, you know, the team practice. And that's when I started going to the Rams games at the Coliseum.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's stay with
at a very young age.
All right. So let's stay with that baseball theme because that seems to be a measure that most of our guests have started their career with in baseball. And of course, mine was baseball. And I grew and played baseball for as long as I could until in college football took over. But you were a catcher. I was a catcher. That's what I started out.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, I had to go to the outfield because I didn't have a strong enough arm to be throwing people out. But you played baseball up until what point when you finished? Did football take over for that?
Yeah, actually, so I started playing flag football while I was still playing baseball. And I didn't really love football at first until I started playing tackle. So I played baseball to probably 11 years old, but I was like really good. Everybody thought I was going to continue to play baseball because I just loved it so much and I was really good at it. But once I put those pads on, man, I was done. I was like, no more baseball. I'm playing football all the way.
Wow. That's what is it with baseball on this show? I mean,
I know
Mr. 388 over here, my co-host, batting average, and I mean everybody your own teammates, Nolan Cromwell, Pat Thomas, all
I
these
got to
guys,
show it.
baseball guys. Oh, there it
There it
is.
is. Look at that.
There it is.
Look at that, baby.
Wow.
Like that,
And,
don't
you
you?
know, I don't know what my average was, but I won the MVP. I think it was my probably when I was 10, I won the MVP of our entire league.
Wow.
Wow. So
I was
You
doing
were
it
the guy.
in
you had a
South
baseball
Central LA,
career.
Dinker Park, man. Shout out to Dinker Park.
Yes, indeed.
Wow, that is so cool. So as myself, I was born in Baldwin Park.
Oh,
So
okay.
which explains why I'm a Los Angeles Rams fan. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, but you're a Los Angeles guy. You're a baseball guy. You fall in love with hitting people or getting hit in tackle football.
Yeah, I did.
Did you? What were your parents thinking at this point? Like, you're not a massive guy, so was
Right,
was mom
exactly.
was mom freaking out that you wanted?
So my mom kind of just deferred to my dad and my stepmom because they were huge Rams fans and they loved the Cowboys. And every Sunday we would just watch football all day long. We had like 2 or 3 TVs set up and we would just have them stacked on top of each other. And we would watch one game on this one and the other game would come on. That's all we did on Sundays. So they really wanted me to play tackle football. And once I bought in, you know, my stepmom is the one that told me, he's like, okay, I'm going to sign you up, but I'm going to tell you right now, in about 2 months, you're going to want to quit, but I'm not going to allow you to quit. I was like, who, me? I'm not going to quit. I'm tough, you know, and I went out there and started getting hit and it was hot and, you know, getting roughed up by a lot of guys that had been playing a couple of years before me. And I went to her and I kind of looked and she knew what I was getting ready to say. She said, nope, you're going to practice. And I stuck with it, man. And, you know, the rest is history, man. I just kept at it.
Wow.
And they just instilled so much confidence in me because I really wasn't that good at first. I could run fast and I could catch because of the hand-eye coordination. But because I was new, you know, the coaches kind of went with the guys they already knew. And they said, here's a new guy. We're just going to let him be on the team, but he's not going to be our receiver. He's going to be a tight end or a defensive end, just to get me involved in playing.
Yeah.
But after that first year, they were like, okay, this guy is too fast and his hands are too good to keep him from being a receiver. So that's when I started playing receiver. Probably my second year in Pop Warner, but I was in love with football at that point.
I love it. Love it. Did you play both sports, Aaron? Did you keep playing baseball?
Oh no, I stopped. I was done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. I was done because what happened was I started spending more time at my dad's house because once I started playing football, you know, I had to get rides to practice because I played for Inglewood and I lived on 36th and Normandy in LA with my mom. So my dad would come and pick me up, and then I started living with them after a while because I was playing football all the time. So I had to give up baseball, and it really wasn't a big deal because I was just so in love with football. I really didn't care. And at that time, I was going up to USC like after school to watch them practice all the time. You know, I saw guys like Vince Evans. I think Jack Del Rio was there at that time. Anthony Munoz, and then later on Ronnie Lott and Marcus Allen. All those guys came. So I got to see some great talent at USC. And the thing that I always tell people is that John Robinson was the coach, and he always let us in practice, the guys in my neighborhood. Because he said that as long as you guys stay out of trouble, I'll let you come to practice. And we would go up there every day, man, and just, you know, as many times as we could and just watch practice. And then they let us in the locker room and pick up towels and put them in the bin. And we would just kind of carry the guys' helmets. You know, I got to meet Charles White, all those guys, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Bless his
Joe
heart.
Browner, Jeff Fisher, all those guys, man. I grew up watching all those guys. I was right there with it. I thought I was
what an impression for a young man to be in that environment, to be at SC of all places, with some of those great teams. Was there an immediate love and desire? Say, I'm going to go be a Trojan.
You know, at first, yes. I mean, up until Arizona State came in the picture, I wanted to be a Trojan. I mean, I used to cry when they had road games because I couldn't go. You know, I'd be at practice on those Fridays and everybody would huddle up. And they say, okay, we're going to leave. You guys got to be here by a certain time. And we're going to, you know, take the plane. I would be crying like, can I go? Like, I'm a part of your team. Like, I couldn't go. So I would go home just crying all the way home, man. So I was definitely a Trojan, yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't alone. That's how I felt about the Rams. And so I gotcha. I gotcha.
Wow. Well, back up a little bit. Tell us about high school. Tell us how you did. How did you grow into the game? How did you become that attractive to start getting recruited?
Well, so in 10th grade, I played quarterback, which I hated. I mean, I did not want to be a quarterback because I was the best athlete for the 10th grade team. Of course, they stick you at quarterback.
Yep.
So I did it. And then during that offseason, and I actually made all league at quarterback. I have no idea how, but I made all league at 10th grade quarterback, throwing some ducks, man. I don't know why they picked me, but they did. So that next year, I was like, I'm done playing quarterback. And the coach was like, no, you're going to play quarterback. And the guy who was behind me, second string quarterback, was a guy named Hugh Jackson, the coach at Grambling right now. He was
I gotta get you.
High school. I went to high school with you.
Wow.
So he started just teaching me all this stuff. And it's crazy because I tell people this all the time. I say, you guys don't know Hugh, man. Hugh was a coach in 10th grade. He was teaching me everything I needed to know way back then. So when I moved to receiver, he started teaching me about blitzes, one-on-one coverage and this stuff that I had no idea where he got it from, but he knew all this stuff in the 10th grade. Wow. So once I started learning the game, I just started, running hills and getting faster and lifting weights. I just started working on my craft. But prior to that, though, just watching USC practice all the time, I picked up just a lot of things from those college receivers that I use on guys my age. So because I was fast enough, to affect those guys, and the knowledge I had from learning those routes from those guys, I was able to really excel. And I just got better and better each year, man. And next thing you know, I was running by guys that were older than me, and they were getting mad and slamming me to the ground after the play because I was young and I was running by them and running routes. They're like, how's he running these routes? I was like, I watch USC. So
very interesting.
That's kind of how it happened, man. And I just kind of, and even when I was younger, we kind of like skipped over this when I would go to USC. At one point, it's going to sound crazy to some people, but I had a vision when I was maybe 9 years old that I was going to play for the Rams.
Wow.
What?
It sounds crazy. So, because I was always going to the games anyway. Mm-hmm. And I was going to USC games, UCLA. I would go to the Rams games and bum tickets like 3 hours before the game. I'd walk around the Coliseum and ask for extra tickets.
Oh my
I see Preston laugh because you probably saw me at those games trying to bum tickets. So I wanted it so bad. I would always, just think, I'm going to play for the Rams. I'm going to play for the Rams. And one day I just was at home and I just had this vision of it was me in the uniform. Mm-hmm. And along with that came a voice that said, you're going to play for the Rams.
Wow.
And then after that, what also came was, but here's what you need to do. So, I started, just going and catching more balls. I started running more routes. I started tapping my feet, in bounds, just doing stuff by myself, throwing the ball in the air and catching it. And with that vision also came, here's what you need to do in school. You need to, to do well in school. You need to respect your parents. So all this stuff came along with that vision. And there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to play for the Rams. I couldn't have told you that I was going to be drafted right away, but I just knew it wasn't even that I was going to play pro. It was just that I was going to play for the Rams. So that playing pro was a foregone conclusion in my spirit. Mm-hmm. I knew I was going to play pro. It was like, I'm going to play for the Rams. And after that, man, nothing could stop me. Of course, I lived in a drug-infested, gang-infested neighborhood, but I stayed away from all that because I knew in order to play for the Rams, I couldn't do these things over here. So I continued to go to USC and go to the Rams games, and even, talking to guys after the games, they would tell me, stay out of trouble, and a couple of guys would go buy us tickets. Jack Youngblood actually went and bought us tickets, and he held them up high because, Jack to me was a giant. He held my high and said, if you can jump and reach these tickets, they're yours. So I jump up and grab the tickets. Guys like Cullen Bryant, all those Lawrence McCutcheon, all those guys, man, just would keep encouraging us. It was maybe 10 guys from my neighborhood that went around to try to get into the games, every Sunday. So I did that with the Rams, UCLA, and USC.
Wow.
That's a great story. Great story.
Now, we met back then, Preston. We met back then, but you don't remember because I was this little dirty kid with red hair, man. And
Man, you got to remind me of that. So tell me one of those episodes. Tell me one of those episodes we met.
That is awesome.
Now, tell me if I'm wrong. You used to maybe carry like a cleaner's bag or some kind of garment bag after the game to your car. Is that you?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So.
Yeah.
I came up to you, of course I was idolizing you at that point. At that point I was a little bit older, and I used to watch you, and I watched Harold Jackson before you,
Yes.
Billy Waddy, Jack Snow, all those guys, man.
Oh, man.
So I came up to you and I was just kind of just talking to you. And of course you encouraged me to stay out of trouble, but you had that little swag, man. You kind of walk into your car.
Oh,
Like, it's pressing the door. So of course I met you, and it was a good experience, man.
Oh,
he
It
still
was a
has
good
the
experience.
swag. He still
right.
has the
I know,
swag.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got a little ache to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I started trying to imitate how you ran routes, man, but I couldn't because I was short, and you had those long strides,
Yeah,
but I couldn't do it. You had that little hitchy, that was like fooling people. I was like, let me try to do like Preston. Couldn't do it though, man.
This is
Could not
Oh,
do
I
it.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I must have did something in the game, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, you did. Yeah,
I
you
can't
definitely
love
got
this
the
enough.
impression on me, man. Yeah, all you got, you, Jack Snow, Harold Jackson was the original 29.
Yes, he
Yeah,
was.
yep.
The
Yes, he
original.
was. Yes, he was.
And he really made me believe that I could do that too, because he was a smaller guy, and I was like, I'm not going to be that tall, so if he can do it, I can surely do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is so great. If you're a Rams fan, mark this. This is so great. I think people forget, and obviously I'm showing my age here, but those Rams teams with Preston and Harold Jackson
yeah.
and Jack Youngblood taking care
Oh,
of young
yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
God, those were special groups of guys. And
Oh, yeah.
I love it, man. Good
And I
stuff,
got a
Aaron.
chance to tell Jack that too, that he bought us those tickets, man. When he used to do radio when I was with the Rams in '88, and I got a chance to tell him that, and I got a chance to tell John Robinson also, thank you for allowing us to come to practice and keeping us out of trouble, because he always let us in practice, even when it was closed for the Notre Dame week or the UCLA week. They always closed practice, but they always let us in, and that kept a lot of guys from going other places and getting in trouble. So that was my home away from home, man. Just the Coliseum, USC, just going to all those games.
For a young athlete that may be listening to this, one of our young listeners, to hear your discipline and what you did to be better, it was self-grounded in by you, and that's something that's not very common back then.
Right.
Guys didn't, today you got to need somebody to help you train and develop, but there was something about the athlete back in those days, and you came in during that time where it was self-generated, self-motivated. You desired, and you had that visual in front of you, which happened to be LA, the Rams, USC, UCLA.
Yeah.
How much of an advantage was that when you became a senior and you were getting recruited, and here comes Arizona State? Was that an easy call? And how did you get away from SC?
It was not an easy call, because my heart was all about USC. But when I really thought about it at that time, I was thinking, okay, if I'm going to make it to the Rams and play, I need to catch some balls. And USC wasn't throwing the ball at that time.
Yeah.
And Arizona State was. And then a couple of things happened. Like, a couple of guys had gotten shot and killed in my neighborhood right around the time that I was getting recruited by everybody. And I was like, if I stay around here, man, some of the same people that I know are going to probably try to come to campus and, want to hang out and try to get me distracted. So I was like, I should probably just go away, not too far, but go away and try to, grow up and become a man somewhere else. I mean, it hurt my heart to not go to SC, but between not catching that many passes at USC and the trouble that I was going to, see, it really wasn't that hard a choice at that point. At first it was, but once I thought about it deeply, I was like, nah, I got to go.
Wow.
That's a mature decision
actually,
at that age.
I still root for USC to this day, man. I played at ASU. I love ASU, but I'm still, a homer, man. I still love those guys.
2,353 total yards at Arizona State University, 40 catches, over 780 yards, 5 touchdowns, 35 catches, 695 yards your second year, 2 touchdowns, 42. You're just rolling. And now you're at that point where people are looking at you. When did you realize that you were NFL potential?
Probably, well, I knew it inside because of that vision. But when I think somebody else noticed it, it was probably either my redshirt sophomore year or my junior year. They had the pro scouts come to our last spring day to look at the seniors that were coming out. back in those days. So they would run the 40, and then they would allow our coaches would allow us to run the 40, and the scouts acted like they weren't watching us, but they were, because we were, guys coming up behind these older guys. And I ran a 4.37 or 4.39 on grass that day. And I kind of saw guys whispering, and then a couple of guys kind of, told somebody else to come tell me, like, if I keep that up, I'm going to play on Sundays. So that's when I really got more excited. Like, okay, I'm this close to being able, to make that dream come true.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
I always thought, I'm up here in Oregon now, but one of the guys, I used to go a lot of Duck games, and they had DeAnthony Thomas, who came from your neighborhood, your neck of the woods too, and bypassed USC. And people used to say, who does he remind you of? I used to say Aaron Cox.
Wow.
He reminds me of Aaron Cox.
He's faster.
He's faster than me. Quick story for you guys, though, man. So before I even got to that point, knowing that I was going to play, on Sundays, when the scouts were talking, my redshirt freshman year, and this could go a long way for somebody that might be listening that's thinking about quitting as well. I got hit. I was a redshirt freshman against Florida State. I caught a little seam post, caught the ball like the 5-yard line and got hit. The safety came over and just laid me out. And the corner was behind me. He hit me low, and the safety hit me high. Oh. And I caught the ball, and I'm laying on the ground, like right by the goal line. And I wasn't going to get up, but somebody came and picked me up. So I kind of stumbled off to the sideline. Eyes were crossed. Tongue was numb. My shoulder was getting ready to fall off. And our running backs coach was like, somebody come get this boy. It's something wrong with him. Something wrong with him. So they sit me on the bench. And it took us maybe 3 plays to score. They had a commercial break and TV timeouts. But the entire time I'm sitting there, I was just saying, okay, just go over there and give the coach a pass and tell him you don't want to play anymore, because that really hurt. You really don't want to go through that again. No, so as time went on, and I came like this close to saying, I'm done. I can't take those hits. That was my first time really being hit, as a redshirt freshman, because in camp they don't really hit you.
Right.
And as a redshirt freshman, I took that hit and I was like, I can't do this. So I sat there and I was like, you know what? No other hit I'm ever going to take is going to hurt worse than that. I said, that's it right there. If I can take that and come back from it, I'm going to be fearless now, because I'm not afraid to be hit. And that's where that transition happened, where I started jumping for balls in the middle of the field. And I didn't have alligator arms. I became fearless, man, because of that one hit. I was like, okay, it didn't kill me. So the tongue came back, the feeling came back, the shoulder came back. I was like, okay, now I'm invincible. Now let's go. And from that day on, fearless.
Wow.
Fearless,
do you remember the guys that hit you?
Anything? No. And he was a small guy too. That's what, after the game, I saw him. I was looking at his helmet. I was walking behind him, like towards the locker room. I was like, let me see what's in this guy's helmet. I was like, this dude, like he was maybe 5 pounds heavier than me.
Wow.
But he laid me out, and then the guy behind me also hit me. So it was a double whammy.
Yikes.
But I survived that, man. That made me fearless. I was never afraid to be hit again. I would jump for balls that I shouldn't even jump for. But I was like, I'm going to show you guys,
Wow, Aaron, that's incredible. I mean, everybody wants to know about that. Thanks for sharing that. Everybody wants to know about the first time you get slobber knockered,
Oh, yeah.
That's wild. And it didn't happen to you till college. And you went, all right, okay.
Yeah. And I would almost quit.
Wow.
Well, that's something else, because that would keep you from what I'm about to share. And that is, you go through a wonderful career in college. You play for the Sun Devils. Had a chance to hang out with my brother, Glennie D.
Yes.
And boy, I wish he hadn't got injured. But with that's for another day. But
actually, we can't talk about that if you want to.
Let's talk. Yeah. Share it.
Let me tell you, man. He was better than I was. The one thing that so everything else was equal except for his run after catch. That's where he had me, man. He had that juke, and so had he been able to play, and he was held back from some politics, some coaching, man, and had he been able to play, he would have been the first round, and then the next year I would have been the first round, because the man could ball. I'm telling you. I heard about him when I was in high school, And think about that. Back in those days, there wasn't the the Facebook and all the press.
Right.
If I'm hearing about him in the early '80s in LA about being an All-American, coming from Phoenix, he was putting in some work.
Yeah,
So
he was.
he was outstanding, man. And he just got a raw deal. He got injured.
Yeah,
and I think and the injury didn't stop him because he was still putting that work in. But I think they saw how he had that limp. The coaches saw that and probably were kind of turned off by it, in my opinion. He could do the same things that everybody else could do, but they probably didn't trust it because he had, the knee and the ankle. But he definitely should have been playing, man. I mean, it got so bad that, I would, fake injuries so that he can get in the game because I want him to play so bad. Because that's how good he was. Now, think about a receiver telling you he's going to come out of the game, let somebody else come and get some of his stats.
Yeah.
That's how good he was. Like, if somebody's that good, like, man, I know I'm catching ball, but this man should be doing the same thing. And it's not fair that he's not getting action. So I would do it. He'd be looking at me like, man, I'm not going. I was like, get in the game, man. My hamstring. I got cramp. He would go in, but it was just a raw deal, man. I'm still, to this day, man, it still bugs me that he didn't get a chance to show what he could do. Now, God's will was something else because, he ended up where he was supposed to be. Yeah. But I'm still like, you sure I would want to see it, man, just a little bit because I knew what he was capable of.
Well,
and on top of that, he was such a great guy, man, that, like you root for somebody like that. He was one of the few guys that when I came in as a freshman, the year before, he had turned it out in camp. I was hearing stories about him, man, you ain't no Glenn Denard, So I came in, I did my thing. And he was one of the few receivers that took me under his wing to help me learn the offense and just the ins and outs. Other guys were sabotaging me because they didn't want me to play in front of them. But he was the guy that took me under his wing, man, and, showed me everything I need to know, told me all the plays and, blitz pickups and everything, man. And even at Thanksgiving, took me to your mom's house,
man.
Wow.
Mama D.
Man.
And I know you ate good, too.
Had on there, yeah. Mama D and Papa D. But, yeah, man, he, I really wanted to see him play, man. It's just unfortunate that we wasn't able to.
Yeah.
Because of some coaches, man, that just, had it out for him.
Really?
I really believe that. Yeah. I really believe that.
You guys are great friends still today, and just so glad to hear about how that bond is still where it is today. But one of the things I can remember about Glenn, and this last thing I'll say is when he was a senior in high school, well, junior and senior, I used to come back from college and tell him, "Hey, man, I'm going to tell you how you can be the best athlete out there because no other high school guys are doing this." And I tell him how to run a route, tell him what to do, reading, and he played all over the field. But he was a little hot thing too because he'd catch a punt return, he'd be gone looking back at everybody, pointing and doing all this. And they throw flags at him, but that was wonderful. I really thought he could have gone on had he not been injured. But you had that opportunity, and you were blessed. But oh my gosh, did you even think you were going to be in the first round, the 20th pick? I mean, I'm looking at the Rams draft picks. Check this out: Gaston Green, Flipper Anderson, Robert Del Pino, Aaron Cox, Fred Strickland. A couple of names I don't know, but Mike Peel, Anthony Newman, Keith Jones.
Played against him.
Yeah,
this guy played against Anthony Newman and got ran over right here. Right here.
He was a baller.
He ran me over.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, take us through that. You're getting ready to get drafted.
Yeah. So my senior year was a down year because our quarterback, man, he couldn't get it to me. I missed John Jefferson's record of total yardage, not total yardage, but receiving yardage for a career by like 200 to 300 yards. I was that close. And quarterback just couldn't get it to me. So I was like, oh, here we go. Then I got invited to the Hula Bowl, and I was MVP of the Hula Bowl. I think I caught 5 or 6 passes for 100 yards. And then I went to the Senior Bowl because the Hula Bowl went so well. They invited me to the Senior Bowl. And I had a great week of practice, Sterling Sharp, Anthony Miller, all those guys that went before me, all those guys was there showing out. So I learned some little tricks from them, in the process. And the combine, I ran 4.39. I ran a 4.39, I think in a 4.38 or somewhere around there. And after that, I was like, okay, the buzz started happening. Like, this guy might be, late first, early second round. Because at first they were saying like middle second. And then after all of that happened, the 2 games and then the combine, they started talking, late first, early second. And, it just kind of, I did workouts for the 49ers, and Charlie Joyner came down and wore me out, man. He had me out there for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. He said, man, I want you, but it's not up to me. It's up to the ownership, but I want you at that 14th pick. They ended up drafting, Anthony Miller, which was a great choice, by the way. But Charlie's like, man, you're my guy, man. I was like, okay, we'll see. But, it happened, and I wasn't surprised because, like I told you, I had that vision that, I was going to play for the Rams, but I just didn't know when. So when John Robinson called me, I was like, it was just very matter of fact. Like, okay, I'm ready to come. Hung the phone up, and that was it, man. I was excited. Wow. I wasn't like shocked or anything because, I knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know it was going to happen that day.
That's incredible. You're a really spiritual guy.
I try to be, man. Yeah,
picking up on that. I mean, and then it's John Robinson again. I mean, you've got this connection to John Robinson going back to.
Yeah. And
this is a heck of a vision.
He didn't remember me specifically, but he remembered a bunch of the kids that used to come and, tug on his shirt. Hey, coach, I'm going to play for you one day. I was one of those kids.
Wow.
And I got a chance to tell him that again. It kind of brought tears to his eyes, because he knew that he had done a good thing for us by letting us come to practice all the time and, keeping us out of trouble. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good perspective.
That is a great story.
Yeah, it is.
Like, that is a great story. So you're with the Rams. You're playing on some prolific Rams offenses. We just had Greg Bell on a couple of weeks ago. But you're playing with Jim Everett, Ernie Zampese.
Yeah.
I mean, did you just land in heaven when you got to the Rams? Like, you're a speedster.
You know what? It's crazy because I did. So first mini camp after the draft, I'm in the huddle and they got me at first string. Ooh. I'm like, whoa, because I think Ron had left already. I think Ron had either was going to run track or something was going on with Ron. He wasn't there. So they put me in the huddle. Like I'm looking at Jackie Slater's helmet going, wait, that's Jackie Slater. I used to watch Jackie when I was like, wait, that's Henry Eller. So I'm like, my head is spinning. But thankfully the offense was the same as ours at Arizona State. The numbering was the same. The verbiage a lot of it was the same. So I was able to pick up on the stuff and not make any mental mistakes. Cause I was like staring off into the distance, like, man, I've died and gone to heaven. This is Jackie Slater. And then I bumped into Jackie, coming in motion the first day of minicamp, and the look that he gave me, I was like, okay, this is real now. I need to get across there and not run into Mr. Jackie Slater, But it was surreal, man. Just, lifelong dream, came true in my first foray into the NFL. It was definitely special. And then to have success that first year, just it was kind of a blur. But it was definitely exciting though.
Unbelievable time. To me, the Renaissance, my favorite all-time Ram period are those teams during the late 70s and the 80s. So you're playing in a Zampese offense, which many people think he's one of the most innovative coaches ever. And you're playing with Jim Everett, who out of Purdue by way of the Oilers, and now he's a Ram. What was it like playing with Jim?
Jim was really good at pulling you aside if you weren't doing something right and not showing you out in front of the team. He would pull you aside and just kind of talk to you real gently and calmly. He was also really good at making adjustments during games. He would just tell you, okay, I know Ernie Zampese said do it like this, but I'm gonna tell you to just slightly just do it a little bit different because the guy's playing you different than he was on film. But he was like really good at that stuff, man, and being very encouraging, and just keeping your head up when you make a mistake and, not letting you go into the tank. And one time against the Saints, man, my rookie year, like late in the season, I hit the wall, just came crashing down. And I dropped like 3 balls in a row, man. And he came to me, and this is crucial for any of you quarterbacks out there. He came to me and said, I'm going to keep throwing it to you. You might as well catch it. Like instead of not throwing it to me, say, I'm going to go to Henry or whoever else. He's like, hey, I'm going to keep, because you're open. I'm going to keep throwing it to you. And fourth quarter, like maybe 2 minutes left, they called a dash 55, which is a stop and go and then come back again, you know. And I ran the route, I beat my guy, and I came back and the ball's coming. He threw it a little wobbly, and I was like, oh, here we go. Man, I jumped up for that ball, caught it off my face mask, and, you know, in my chest, and I caught it. I was able to spin out of it and get like 5 or 10 extra yards. But, you know, for my confidence, he was awesome because he told me, I'm going to keep coming to you. Because had he stopped, because I made those mistakes, I probably would have been done, you know. But he kept coming to me, and he told me, I'm going to keep throwing the ball to you. You might as well catch it. So I did.
That's amazing. He still seems great, like man. Such a good dude. He's so good to the fans. Yeah.
I actually saw him not this past season, but the season before. I went back for one of the games and sat in the suites with him. Nice. He just kept saying, man, if your hamstrings had held up, he said, man, what you're going to do after that rookie year, he just was, you could see it in his eyes. He was excited, you know, of my potential, man. So it was good to see that all these years later. Wow. It was really good to see that.
That's special. That's special. Well, for me, every week on the show special because Preston was somebody I idolized, and then we're bringing on folks like yourself, Aaron. I got to tell you, the Rams have been really gifted in a couple position groups. Running back, don't need to talk about Dickerson, Gurley, Steven Jackson, Marshall Faulk. But the wide receiver room for the Rams has had quite a group of guys over the years at different time periods. You were part of a group that included Henry Ellard, get him in the Hall of Fame yesterday. Flipper Anderson, a guy that I thought reminded me a lot of Preston as I was getting older. And yourself. I mean, that is a trio of different gifts and speeds and sizes. What was it like being in that wide receiver group, you three?
It was awesome. You know, so going into my second year is when I ripped my hamstring to shreds, man. And I was out 8 weeks. And that's when Flipper just took off that next year. I was still the starter at that point.
Wow.
But once he took off, you know, they were like, okay, it took me 8 weeks to get back just to be able to run routes. So my full speed didn't come back till maybe halfway through the season. And by then he was just through the roof, man. So that was the end of that as far as starting. But it was just great, man, because Henry was really humble, and Flipper, although he had taken off, he still treated me like I was a part of the group. He didn't like, okay, now I'm the man. You know, now you have to take the background. He still included me, you know, in a lot of the media things and a lot of his conversations. But it was just a real humble room, man. That everybody just rooted for each other, and we, you know, did things together. You know, we went out to dinner and went to different movies and just hung out all the time. So it was just great being there, man, and just, you know, just watching those two guys, because Henry was the route guy, and that's how I parodied my game after his with all the routes, and Flipper was just throw it, and I'm just going to go jump and get it, you know. He really didn't care about the routes that much, but he would just go get every ball that went up. I call Flipper the original Randy Moss, man. Like, he was only like 5'11", maybe 5'11 and a half, 6 feet. But he would go and get that ball, man. And it was just a pleasure playing with those guys.
Outstanding.
So fun. We got to ask you all the obligatory fan stuff. Preston leaves that to me, but that wide receiver room is really special, and I hate that you tore your hamstring. I actually remember that. But you played against a couple of dudes that were pretty bad on defense too, in Jerry Gray and Leroy Irvin. I mean, how did playing against those kind of DBs prepare you for Sundays?
It made Sundays easier because both of those guys. I mean, Jerry would D you up and then tell you, you know, what you did wrong and how to get open against every DB in the league. And Leroy was just like he was just cunning, man. You know, he didn't look like he was moving that fast, but he was just real gifted at reading you and just kind of getting in your way just enough to throw you off. And both of them are just really smart guys, man, that just studied film and, you know, didn't really have to use their athletic ability as much because they were just so smart. They would just cut you off, you know, from any route that you were trying to do. So going against guys on Sundays, you know, was a whole lot easier. And me and Flipper would talk about it. He was like, man, these guys are nothing compared to what we go through in practice. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And we were just man. Except for there's only two guys that we couldn't, you know, do a whole lot with. Deion Sanders and Mike Haynes.
There we go.
Nightmares about Mike Haynes. And he's my ASU guy.
Yes, he
Oh, my
is.
goodness.
And I was just with Mike this past
Oh, yeah?
weekend at Freddie
Okay.
Blitnikoff. So there's a great relationship between Mike and I, and we talked about that. And you know, I ran against Mike in college. I was a freshman. He was, I believe,
Right.
he was a junior, senior year. I couldn't run a daggone route on him, but there was only one route I could beat Mike on. I don't know how that happened, and that was the 7 route. It doesn't matter if it was inside the 20 or deep, but
You know what I was getting ready to say? Watching you as a kid, it was that 7 route. That's the route I remember, man. You
7
going to
route,
get that
baby.
ball, man. You just diving for some here and there. Just you were always open on that. Yep.
Oh, love that route. What's
Yeah, I
your
remember
favorite
that.
route?
Ooh, probably the dig or the comeback.
Ooh,
The dig or
Really?
the comeback. Yeah,
like
the
both of
the
those.
dig, man, because you could drive him to 20, then push him and then cut across. And they were still running that way. And the comeback, same thing.
Yeah.
Full speed, turn those hips, pow, get out of it and come back.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Well,
Well,
and
you-
and you guys played in an era where safeties were
Oh, yeah.
knocking the snot out of
Yeah.
you
Oh,
on
yeah.
some of those.
Yes, yes. And I have
Ugh.
4 concussions, out cold concussions to prove it, man.
What?
There you go.
Yeah.
I
Ugh.
know about that
Yeah.
too. Okay,
Oh,
you
yeah.
spent a year in Indianapolis,
Yes, I
and
spent a-
you
I spent
finished
a
your
year
career up. What was that like transitioning? Because we've all experienced being traded or going to another club. What was that like?
Yeah, it was really strange. First of all, it was freezing. going from Arizona State, we're going from LA to Arizona State, to the Rams, all this
Yeah.
warm weather to Indianapolis where it's freezing cold. So that was a big adjustment.
I went to
Um,
Buffalo.
Oh
It was
yeah,
cold.
exactly. Yeah, Buffalo,
Ooh.
and that's even worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's worse.
But but what made it easy was guys like Jeff George and Reggie Langhorne. They just kind of pulled me aside and made me feel welcome and taught me the offense, and I was able to pick it up within like maybe 3 or 4 weeks. But they made it really easy for me. Jeff George, man, that guy, just the balls that he would throw, man, were unbelievable. I mean, I loved Jim Everett, but Jeff George's arm, man, he would throw balls past guys' ears and just land right here in your lap, man. Just
Wow.
yeah, he was definitely awesome, man. And we used to train together after practice to some Garth Brooks. in the weight room,
Oh,
Garth
my goodness.
Brooks, a kid from South Central Los Angeles,
And Garth
and now he's
Brooks.
hanging out with Garth
Yeah,
Brooks.
I'm a Garth Brooks fan, yeah, but I didn't actually play a whole lot that year. So Reggie Langhorne was slot, and I was, second string behind him, but I also backed up the guys on the outside, Jesse Hester and a guy named Sean Dawkins, who they drafted that year that I went to Indianapolis. And guys were campaigning for me to get more playing time because I was a veteran, but coach was like, nope, he's gonna play because we just paid him all that money. He's gonna play. But Reg actually saved me that year, man, because it would be late in games where it'd be a blowout and he wouldn't come out of the game. He's like, AC, man, I know you got those hamstrings sometimes. I don't want you to come out here in this cold and rip your hamstrings, so I'm just gonna stay in there. And he was getting punished, like, in that slot, man. Those guys in the AFC East, man, woo, they were laying pat on Reggie Langhorne. He would just say, no, AC, I got it, man. You're good. Stay there. I don't want you to get hurt. So he really saved me from a lot of punishment, coming in late in games, cold, and, not able to really run how I wanted to.
Wow,
It
interesting
was
tidbit,
a
man.
pretty good experience, though, man. But by the end of that season, I had too many concussions because at one point I got hit in the shoulder during that year and my eyes crossed from just getting hit in the shoulder. So between that and just I started losing the love, for the game. The business side started taking over more when they were playing guys that were just making more money, as opposed to playing the guys who should have been playing. I just kind of lost that love for it. So I was done at that point.
Wow. Well, then you
Unbelievable.
transition. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's sort of unique because a lot of non-athletes or those who hadn't played the game don't really know the dynamics as small and minute as that, and how important it is to us, your brethren that are in the game, and how we really took care of each other. And
Absolutely, absolutely.
everything is just a grab, and it's all about me. Maybe it's like that today, but back in the day, it was not.
No, it wasn't.
Our time's growing, and we've got a wonderful thing we want to do with you on the 2-minute drill. But tell us before we go what Aaron Cox is doing today.
Okay, today, man, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I advocate for adults with developmental disabilities. I've been
Oh,
doing it
Wow.
for about 23 years now, but the past 6 years, I got my home licensed by the state, and I got contracted with the Division of Developmental Disabilities. And I have three guys that live in my home with me. I advocate for them 24/7. So I'm watching them
Wow.
live their best lives, man. And, they're, you know, going to work, they clean up after themselves, they know how to cook, they're trying to date, they're just living their best
Wow.
lives, man. And I'm able to advocate 100% for them to help them, live the best life possible. So I've been
man.
doing it for 23 years, but I'm doing it on a different level now, more intimate level, by having them
Mhm.
live in my home.
Oh, I commend
That's
you. I
incredible.
think I think that's outstanding.
That
Appreciate
is
it.
Or,
beyond outstanding. That's
mhm,
beyond outstanding. I
mhm.
I had no
And
idea. That's
I really
amazing,
love
Aaron.
it, man. I really love it.
Wow,
Mm.
good for you. That's amazing. And you feel like as we get into the 2 minute drill, real quick, you feel like that as a young kid looking back in hindsight now that was part of that spiritual journey. You had this vision, you achieved the vision, and it was just one footstep to where you are today.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And just doing things like, at times I volunteered for the Special Olympics, not knowing that this is what I was going to do one day. But I just remember when I would
Wow.
be around the individuals, just how good it made me feel, that they would just
Oh,
gravitate towards me, and tell me about their issues and their problems and just life in general. And then, years later, just, being in grocery stores and someone would just come up to me that I didn't know, and they were developmentally disabled. They would just start having a conversation with me. And then someone finally said, you should probably be doing that, because you
mm,
attract a lot of people that they just come to you, and there's something about you that they
Interesting.
feel comfortable, sharing.
Yeah.
So I started doing it and fell in love with it immediately. And here we are all these years later, man. It's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, man. So I'm really grateful, to God that,
mm.
He allows me to continue to do what I love doing.
Oh, great.
Incredibly special,
Mhm.
man. Incredible.
Thank you
Love
so
it.
much.
Amazing. Well, Preston, here we are, 2 minute drill.
Yes,
Do you want to rapid fire it, Aaron, or
I'll
would
do it.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. I
Yeah,
thought so. A
right.
couple of wide
Okay, let's
receivers
go.
going at
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
Well, he's already answered the one question about the favorite route. So
Yeah, that was
Oh, okay.
good.
I'm loving it, loving it. All right. Well, this is the time of the show where we ask you rapid fire questions. We get your first greatest impression, your heartfelt impression, and if you're ready, let's
I'm ready.
rock and roll.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. Jim Everett or Jeff George?
I'm gonna have to say Jim Everett because I had more catches from him.
That makes sense.
Makes
Jeff
All
sense.
George's
right.
arm was better. His arm was better, but Jim Everett because I had more, times with him.
Mhm.
Sure.
Okay, so you told us about the comeback. I know there all that, but if you had to, the 9 route or maybe the seam route, would you rather be inside or outside?
Oh, the 9 route because I can just run
Oh,
by you, man. Let's go.
I
Speed
Let's see
love it.
how
kills.
fast you really are.
Yeah. See, he's got the speed. I got to give a little something for me to get
Yeah,
up. All right,
definitely the 9 route. Yes.
enchiladas or burgers.
Ooh, or burger. Wow. Ooh, I'm gonna say enchilada
Yeah, you
Good
better.
choice.
because in the past few years, my former wife Dee has made enchiladas for a
Mm.
lot of us, and I fall in love with them. So
Oh,
I'm gonna say
Nice.
enchilada. Yes.
all
Very
right.
nice.
Okay, your favorite movie?
Ooh, it's a toss up. Can I
Oh,
can I have two or do I have to pick one?
no,
Two.
throw
Give
out
us
two.
two.
Yeah.
Okay, so Which Way Is Up with Richard Pryor
Oh,
and
classic. Oh.
Raging Bull with Robert De Niro.
Really?
Ooh.
So if I had to pick one, I'd pick Which Way Is Up because it's the funny that gets me.
Mhm,
Richard
mhm.
Pryor was hilarious, man. All those characters.
Oh,
So yeah, but I definitely love Raging Bull, man. That's a great drama.
those are classics, man.
Yeah,
Oh
Both
they
of
yeah,
are.
those.
absolutely, yes.
Okay. Here's a good one. Your most underrated player you have ever seen.
Ever. Glenn Denard, man.
Oh, baby.
Glenn
Okay.
Denard.
Don't make me
Glenn
cry.
Denard would have been a first round draft pick. I promise you that. I would
Yeah,
have been the second ASU receiver to go in the first round after he went the year before. But I'm telling you, I would have had less catches, but I was good with that because the man that would have been getting those catches was awesome. So Glenn Denard was the most underrated. I'm telling you, man, the man in Preston, I'm preaching to the choir right now.
That's really cool.
No doubt in my mind. Yeah.
All right, your greatest career achievement.
Ooh, greatest career achievement. You know what? I'm gonna have to say the individual one would be that probably about 98% of my catches were on third down.
I love that.
And they knew it was coming to me, and they still couldn't stop it. So that's probably my greatest achievement. And I had 19.9 yards per catch at ASU over 4 years.
Wow.
That was my average.
Boy, we're very similar. Yeah, third downs were huge. I think 70% of my catches in college were third down, third or fourth down. Okay, here we go.
Chain movers. All
right, here's the last one. You ready?
Yep.
Who plays you in a movie of your life?
So in my 20s, I used to get compared to a guy named Alan Payne.
Alan Payne.
New Jack City with Wesley Snipes, the kind of sidekick guy. He had the curls on top. I had my hair like that in my early 20s. And being in Hollywood, people would say, Alan Payne, right? Like, no, I'm not Alan Payne. So probably him in the 20s.
Wow.
Other than that, I can't think of anybody, man, because that anybody said I look like, but Alan Payne. But that was way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I actually remember Alan. It took me a second. Very nice.
New Jack City.
New Jack
and now he's
City.
on a lot of Tyler Perry sitcoms.
Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Wow, look at you. I've got to say, that's a new one on the show. Everybody picks Denzel or, everybody wants to be the best looking human alive.
Everybody said, Denzel Washington.
Oh,
I can't love this enough.
Yeah. Aaron, this has been fun. I certainly thank you for joining us. We could go on for hours and hours and hours. Really just love the affection for the family. Mom, I'm going to have to let her know. He's just going to be so tickled to death. And of course, she'll get to see this. But, man, just bless you for what you're doing out in the community. I think that's just wonderful. And, God knows how to choose his right fruit. And I just want to commend you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Amen.
All right.
Amen for me.
We have something for you, though. Remember that.
Yeah.
And he's got a tidbit from Aaron Cox, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
You have the floor.
I'm ready.
Are you ready for it?
We are.
Oh my goodness.
What's up, Steve?
What is going on right now?
Yeah. Tell him.
I'm Glenn Denard.
Lord have mercy.
What?
That's my baby brother.
If you're watching on our YouTube channel, folks, we just got a guest appearance out of left field. Glenn Denard has entered the room.
Yeah.
Very nice to meet you, Glenn.
He needs to get his shine, man. He needs to get his shine.
Oh, Glenn, Stacy
folks, for those listening on audio everywhere, go check out the YouTube. The iconic Aaron Cox was just joined by the iconic Mr. Denard, the younger brother of my co-host. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Hey, so we used to call
Aaron
him.
and I are twins. Do you see the resemblance?
No. Hey, Stacy, we used to call him Baby Juice. He played Pop Warner. And I got to tell this quick story. So we're playing Pop Warner. I come back from school to watch him in a game, and he's a star, right? And so he's running the ball, and I'm on the sideline. He's running up there, and he's looking inside. He should be gone, right? He's got all the speed in the world. He should be gone. And he slows down to try to juke somebody, and he gets knocked to the ground. I ran over to him. I mean, this is right at a Pop Warner game. I run over to him. I lean over him. I say, get your butt up, and don't you ever let somebody hit you like that. You just run away from and he goes on. He just tears it up. But let me tell you, that's my boy.
Oh, this is really Aaron Cox with the surprise. This is incredible. Very special. Arizona State Sun Devils, the Denard family. Unbelievable surprise. This is Ryan. This just means you're going to have to join us. Not Ryan. Sorry, I'm thinking all the Denards.
You got them all, man.
I'm getting all mixed up on Denards. You're going to have to come on the show and join us for an all Denard episode of the Gridiron Icon podcast.
It'll be awesome. It'll be awesome.
Count on it.
Preston taught me everything I know, and he was the best big brother that a little guy could have.
How about your hairpin?
I can't listen. No secret. I idolized Preston as a kid myself. Jersey's right there. Yeah, absolutely. So great to meet you, Aaron Cox, pulling one on us right here.
Wow, Glenn D. Good seeing you, baby.
Bye, Glenn.
All right, Aaron.
Unbelievable.
That was a great one, man. That was.
I told you I had something for you.
I
I told you I had something for you.
Hey. I'm thinking you're pulling out an old autograph I gave you when you was a little tight.
I didn't know what was coming. That is the biggest surprise in the history.
That right there, man.
Oh, that's sweet, man. Thank you so much.
That is my guy, man. That is my guy.
There's nothing more special than the camaraderie of not just family but teammates.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
And folks, wherever you may be listening in on Gridiron Icon, the podcast, for myself, my much better half and partner in crime, Mr. Preston Denard, and the iconic number 84, Aaron Cox, and Glenn Denard in a guest appearance. Right. Thank you all for joining us this week. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, all those bazillion of podcast hosts, and we will see you next week here on Gridiron Icon.
You're out.